I'm just seeing if I'm coming through. Yeah, that sounds like me singing, doesn't it? Hello! Little burst there of Chesney Hawks to introduce you to the one and only All Will Be One set review. Yes, it's that time again where Octagon have had to make 200 new cards and they've exhaustively play tested them and they all work, and we're going to see how good they are. Hooray! 3 people. Oh no, that can't be right. There can't be 3 people on already. Let me so I can get the chat up on my computer so it doesn't annoy us on the screen. I'll say hello in the chat. There we go. See if anyone says hello back in the chat. And let's crack on now. A couple of caveats. Number one, I might just flake out. Usually I'm on for a good couple of hours, aren't I? For every session. It'll probably take about 3 or 4 sessions to get through the whole set, because we like to go into everything in detail, as everybody knows. I have been recovering from an abscess though recently on my tooth, which was less painful than I was expecting it to be, but still painful and still hanging around even after last week and the antibiotics ran out. So it's possible I might not be on for a good old whack tonight. It's even possible, if it goes badly tonight, if I have trouble talking tonight, it might be quite a few days before I do part 2. But we will try. I wanted to give it a go. We will try now. What was the other caveat? Oh, the other caveat is just a small one, is that I'm on my old phone. And so it's probably going to be really, really crap and slow. Case in point, I'm going to press this button now to get the release notes up. It's probably going to take ages to load these. Yeah, there it goes. And you lot can't even see the cracked screen, can you? That I'm on. This is a very, very old phone. My new phone just stopped working one day. And this one's probably about 5 years old now. Let us crack into the pre-release notes for All Will Be One, the new set. New mechanics. Here we go. Toxic and Phyrexian Toxin. When this creature... Oh, things are popping up. Messages are actually popping. That's interesting, actually, messages popping. I've not had messages popping up on the screen before. The defaults must have changed for Twitch. That's useful because normally I completely forget to look at the chat, and I keep forgetting about it for ages. So if things pop up on my screen, it'll help me remember to go and check the chat every so often. Hello, Shmara. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. You're just in time. The cracked screen. No, I fixed it. No, I never intended to fix the cracked screen. No, although I did try. I did go into town the other day, and I asked them to look at the headphone jack on my 7-year-old phone, and they laughed at me. And then I asked them to change the screen on this 5-year-old phone. They did laugh at me, but they said it would be 55 quid, so I told them to piss off. So, cracked screen. It's been cracked for ages. It'll be fine. I'll get on with it. As indeed shall we with the new mechanics. When this creature deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, create a number of Phyrexian Toxin tokens equal to this card's toxic value. Phyrexian Toxin. Support card indestructible, can't be destroyed. At the beginning of your turn, if the support has 20 or more reinforcements, you lose all your life. Interesting. Okay, now I'm guessing that we'll skim this paragraph, because what they usually do is they just write what they've written before again. A creature with toxic, number of Phyrexian toxins can't be removed in any way Player loses all their life. Toxic's an alternative win condition that doesn't depend on players' life totals. There are few effects that create Phyrexian toxin tokens under a player's control besides toxic. Now, this seems problematic to me, as Octagon don't playtest things, as we know, and 20 tokens, yeah? In Magic, you've got 20 life, and it takes 10 poison tokens to kill you. It's about half your life. In this, you've got about 100 life, haven't you? And that's low. I think 100 life is low, but it's probably around the average. Let's say 110 is the average. You know, going from about 90 up to about 135. No, it's probably about 80 up to 135. So 110, let's say 110 is kind of an average life total. So it's more than 5 times the 20 for the poison tokens. I don't know. It seems like, so if you've got a creature with Toxic 3, it only needs to hit your opponent 7 times and they're dead, and you can't heal that. That's quite a big upgrade for creatures. And given that Octagon won't have play tested this, it might turn out to be very problematic. I can smell kind of a frantic retooling as a result of complaints that come in. But, you know, who knows? We haven't got to the cards yet. And to be honest, almost every single creature in the game is wildly overcosted. You know, you're not going to be able to kill somebody with a 2/2 creature if they've got 130 life. So maybe it's a good thing that this is going to be a massive upgrade for the attack power of creatures. Who knows? We shall see as we go along. Oil counter. When this card gains oil counter, the value is added to its current value. If this card's oil counter would be reduced to 0, instead this card loses oil counter. What does it do? Found in both creature and support cards, all count as a numerical evergreen. Well, oh, it doesn't have, right, while it does not have any effect itself, the evergreen value has various purposes. Okay, so oil counter is a number. It doesn't seem to go down on its own. It's just you set oil counter 3 on something, and then it has oil counter 3, and it carries on having oil counter 3 until you change that, and that means something for whatever card it happens to be on. Okay, escalate. When you escalate, your cards with oil counter gain oil counter 1. An opposing support named Phyrexian Toxin is reinforced. Okay, it doesn't seem to create the Phyrexian Toxin token. So we're going to have to take note of that. So escalate is the same as giving your opponent 1 poison counter if they have a toxin token, but it's not if they don't already have the token. You've got to create the token first. Now the toxic creature, when it attacks, will create the toxin token, but escalate will not create it. It will only increase it. Hinted effect, blah, 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 blah. Oil counter 1, Phyrexian Toxin. I mean, it feels like they could have just added that to proliferate, couldn't it? Mind you, proliferate is its own problematic thing, isn't it? That's generally a bit of a waste of time. So, okay. Escalate. Well, remember that does that. Famiridin! I love that as a keyword. Isn't that great? Famiridin as a keyword. I think that's brilliant. When this support enters the board, create a red rebel token. No, it's just a keyword that creates a creature. It creates a rebel token, a 2/2 red rebel creature with bravery. Okay. Famiridin adds utility to equipment cards and enables, hello, who is that there who's come in? Hello, oh, it's Canada. Were you the guy I was just talking to now about Legacy? Yes, I was just having a natter, bit of a reminisce. Yes, it was, with somebody about paper Legacy just now before I started the stream. So hello, welcome in, welcome in. And who else is, fucking hell, no. No, it surely cannot be, Mills. It cannot be, can it? Say something that only you would know, Mills. Say something that only you would know, so that I know it. This is the guy, everybody. This is my bestest friend, Jake. I better not tell my other bestest friends that this is my bestest friend, but he is my bestest friend. And he is the guy I used to play Paper Legacy with all these years ago. Hence the name Slowbad. And I don't think he plays Magic Puzzle Quest. I told him not to. When I first got into Magic Puzzle Quest, I said to him, it's just a heap of shit. Don't get into this fucking game. I'm too far in now. I can't escape myself. I've been attracted by the gravity of it. But don't you get into it. So I don't know. Maybe he started. I don't know. Maybe he has no connection with Magic Puzzle Quest at all, and he's just popped into Twitch. The Icarid guy. Yes, that's right. He is the Icarid guy. Fucking hell. And he never told me. He never bloody told me that I could set my fucking Tormod's Crypt off at the right time to when all the triggers are on the stack. Did it? No, he didn't bother to tell me that. No, he just used to take advantage of me for months and months before I found out on my own. Grrr. Yeah, he is famous. Only good things we've been saying about you. So, for Mirrodin, hooray! A 2/2 creature. Well, I mean, if your equipment creates a creature when it comes into play, that can't be a bad thing, can it? Obviously, a 2/2 creature is bad. 2/2 creature that had Toxic 3, that would be a great 2/2 creature. 2/2 creature is a bit small, but you know, it's a thing. Now, I don't think they didn't. They forgot to actually add the information about the Planeswalkers in here. But luckily, somebody gave me this link up here. Now, this is probably going to be a bit slow on the old load. You can't take that away from me. Oh, yeah, here we go. And we'll have a look at the new Planeswalkers first. I've not heard great things about them. Nobody's going mad about them. Nahiri the Unforgiving. Let's have a look, shall we? Infuriated Journey. Well, let's not bother reading the level 1 does. Target creature loses can't attack and gains Berserker. Crap, yeah. You control that creature, get +2/+0 first strike. Crap. Otherwise, your first creature... That's level 4. You can give somebody else's creature Berserker, and then to make up for that, your first creature gets +0/+2 until the beginning of your first turn. And that costs 8. Fuck off. Fallen on the Path is 14. Oh, they're doing the thing again, aren't they? They're making everything too expensive. Discard up to 3 cards, then draw up to 3 cards. Then the last card in your hand gains X mana. Only the last card. It's not good. X is equal to the number of creature and equipment cards in play and in your graveyard. Yeah, don't try and get me excited with those last 3 words. It's crap, isn't it? Cost 20. What have we got? Reinforce all creatures you control X times. These creatures gain Hex and Outcast. Oh, shit. They've done it, haven't they? They think this is what Outcast is supposed to do. They knew what Outcast was supposed to do. When they made it, they knew what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to be for the red thing. For the red cards, to exile the cards from the game. Ah, oh, Venomous Protester. Yeah, go away. How do you block people? Somebody tell me how you block people. Pin this message, click to reply. I know I should figure this out in my fucking spare time. Chat settings. They'll be fine. He'll go away. So the great thing about spammers, I find, is they always just go away on their own, and there's absolutely no problem with them. Yeah? That's right, isn't it? Outcast! Anyway, yes, they knew what Outcast was for. It's for those red effects where you remove a card from your hand and then you get to cast it from exile. Yeah, but as soon as it comes into play, it's supposed to stay there. But they've forgotten that, and now they've enshrined in law the fact that Outcast is something that fucking removes creatures from play. Twats! So they've made this Planeswalker shit, and they've made a load of other cards shit in back through the past, and more cards shit into the future as well. I hate Nahiri, is it Unforgiving? Yes, I'm not forgiving Nahiri for having done that. Nahiri is awful. We will move on to Kea. Now, Keas are always shit, aren't they? Every Kea we've had in the game so far has been shit. Standstill is banned. Hatching Plans is banned. It should be an Etched Oracle, but it's always a goblin. Yeah, okay. That's Mills. Mental Magic. Does anyone ever play Mental Magic? Mental Magic used to be my favourite format for a while in Paper Magic. It's absolutely insane. I could never play it now. It's been way too many years since I played it. And I'm not going to go into what it does because it's a bit complicated. But it's a great format. And if you ever get the chance to play it, you should. Maybe if you stream more often, you'd be better at it, says Schmo. Yeah, well, your mama. Yeah? Let's see what Kea does. Bodiless Grab. Your opponent loses 6 life and you gain 6 life. You gain hexproof until the beginning of your next turn. Absolute shit. Draw up to 4 cards. The last 4 cards in your hand gain mana equal to 2 plus the number of creature cards in all exile. Create 4 white spirit tokens. Well, that's probably okay, isn't it? I mean, 14 is not cheap. But at least it's not massively overcosted for that ability. You know? Not hard to get some creatures into exile. And you get a handful of tokens. That's almost a thing. This is the best ability we've seen so far, and it's not actually particularly great. Soul Draining. What have we got here? Exile target opposing creature. Yeah, for 20 loyalty, though. Nels, do you play Magic Puzzle Quest? Do you know what I'm talking about in the slightest? He did. He did become the Icarida guy again in Mental Magic. Exile target opposing creature. If that creature has 1 or more evergreens, but oh, Jesus Christ. Between Berserker, Lifelink, Death Touch, Double Strike, First Strike, Flying, Menace, Trample, Unblockable, Vigilance, or Prevent Damage, right? The first spirit card you control gains each of those evergreens that card has. Otherwise, create 6 spirit tokens. Brilliant. So you have to already have a spirit in play to get anything more than just killing a creature. I mean, better than Nahiri. I'm mightily unimpressed. Let's move on. Kaito. I don't play now. I play Marvel Snap on my phone. Jesus. I haven't gone near that. I played Marvel Puzzle Quest for about a day or two. And found, probably before Magic Puzzle Quest came out. Back when I was into playing actual Puzzle Quest many years ago. But it was not good enough to hold my attention. Probably a worse, like a worse game than Magic Puzzle Quest. Magic Puzzle Quest is a better game than Marvel. It's worse as an experience because the development team are such a shower of bastards, and it's full of bugs, and they've no idea about designing cards or events or anything like that. But as a game, the core game is better than Marvel Puzzle Quest. What have we got here? Cost 8. They're all cost 8. We want a nice cheap first ability. An opposing creature without can't attack and can't block at random gains can't attack and can't. You made the tap symbol! Octagon! You made it! Why did you immediately forget it exists? What's the point of putting into the game the tap symbol if you never use it? Bastards! I shouldn't be shouting this early on. I mean, I've had this abscess. I've got a bit of a sore mouth. I shouldn't be shouting too much. But they make me. Octagon make me do it. Gains can't attack and can't block. You may return your last creature to your hand and lose 2 loyalty. Why not just disable it? You know, why not? And for fucking 8 loyalty. Turn the last creature to your hand and lose 2 loyalty. Does it mean from play? It means from play, doesn't it? It doesn't mean like your last creature from your graveyard. It just means you can put a bunch of cards back into your... to remove them from play that you've had to pay to put there in the first place. For 8 loyalty. Jesus Christ. Whisper Gathering. Draw a card. You may return your last creature to... What is with this? Return... I don't know. I want to hit my opponent with it. That's why I put it into play. Turn your last creature to your hand. If you do, your last 3 cards in your hand gain 10 mana. Well, that's at least a certain amount of mana. But I'm not interested for 14 loyalty. You know? What have we got here? Create 4 drone tokens. You may return the first... What's a drone? Oh, a drone is a 2/2 with Death Touch and Berserker. Okay, that's kind of interesting. This creature is dealt combat damage. Your opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life each. Okay. When this creature is destroyed, your opponent loses X life and you gain X life. Okay, I mean, it's all right. Fair enough. There's some things. So it's an 8/8 that does some extra lifey, damagey things. You may return the first non-token creature you control to your... Oh, here we go again. If you do, reinforce these tokens 4 times. Right. I mean, I don't again, it's not... The last ability isn't good. It's not god-awful. The problem is just, you know, a first ability that costs 8, that's rubbish. You've got nothing to do with your loyalty for most of the game. I hate it. Moving on. Looker! Now, have we had 2 of these? I can't even remember if we've had 2 Lookers or just 1 Looker. I certainly haven't bought him yet. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat there. They're talking about me behind my back. I would expect no less. Ruinous Perfection. Create an enhancing link token. Let's just have a quick look and see what that does. At the start of your turn, if you have a creature card in your hand that can gain 3 mana, you may pay 3 life. If you do, your first creature card in your hand gains X mana. X is equal to 3 plus this card's level. When this supports gem is matched, the first creature in your hand gets +2/+2. I mean, that's okay, but again, it's fucking 8 loyalty again, isn't it? Create an enhancing link token. It increases level by 2. The first creature in your hand that can gain mana gains 5 mana. Still too expensive. Better than most of those other ones that we were looking at, but still too expensive. You made your first creature gain +6/+6 and gain trample and toxic 2. I don't give a shit if it gets +6/+6. If it's got toxic 2, that's how I'm going to kill my opponent. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this from Octagon. Gain trample and toxic 2. If you don't, create 2 Phyrexian beast tokens. What are Phyrexian beasts? We scroll past those. 3/3s with toxic 1. Okay. A toxic 1's going to take quite a while to kill our opponent, isn't it? That's 20 turns. Toxic 2 is 10 turns. But of course, you know, we're not relying on a single thing to deal toxic damage. I suppose we do have, we do have the thing in paper, of course. If you have 2 copies of a creature with toxic 2, they both have toxic 2, making toxic 4 in Magic Puzzle Quest. If you have 2 copies of a creature with toxic 2, they are 1 creature that is being reinforced. and has Toxic 2. So, a little harder to stack up things. You need lots of different cards in your deck that has Toxic, but I don't see that's going to be a problem. It still seems expensive for 14. And the first is still expensive. I'm not excited. And of course, he's probably going to be... Oh, no, he's actually... Look at him. He's actually red-green. I was thinking that these were all monos, but I don't think any of them have been, actually. And here he certainly wasn't. I don't know why I thought because there's 5 of them, they'd always be monos. Probably because there's 5 of them. It is talking about behind my back when it's in my chat, Shmar, because I never look at the chat window. Level 4. If you control, this is 20 again, isn't it? Yeah. If you control no creature cards, you get 2 Phyrexian beasts. It's a 6/6 with Toxic 1. Someone who want to do them? How quickly will a 6/6 kill go through 135 life? Somebody do the maths for me. Your creatures get +2/+2 until end of turn. Deal X damage to each opposing creature. And opposing Vanguard support losing X shields. X is the greatest power. And the creatures you control. Yeah, I hate them. I hate them. Should we look at Koth? Now, I think I've heard somebody say that Koth might be worth playing with. I very much doubt it. Koth is mono red. There he is, looking very much like Maxim Reality from the Prodigy. What have we got here? Tectonic Upheaval. Create 2 Mirren Mountain tokens. Okay, are these going to destroy a bunch of shit? Yes, they are. Level can't be reinforced. Right, okay, so we're getting 2 actual tokens on the board with 4 shields. Okay, so I'm not going to die very quick. At the beginning of your turn, destroy X non-red gems. X is 2 plus the number of land supports you control. Is that a land support? Mirror Mountain does not look like a land support to me, which makes this effect look a bit shit. Can trigger only once for all cards named Mirror Mountain you control. Oh, maybe it is supposed to be a land support then. Because what's the point of having 2... If it only triggers once when you've got 2 tokens in play, what's the point of having 2 tokens in play? I think perhaps they've forgotten to tell us that Mirror Mountain is a land support. Support card 4, token level can't be reinforced. Yeah, I think they've probably forgotten to put that on the card. When you match 3 or more red gems, I mean, he's a mono red planeswalker. I don't fucking care. I'm really just going through the motions reading this shite out. I want to get on with it. Do you all want to get on with it? We all want to get on with it. Oh, I suppose I'd better finish. An opposing Vanguard support loses Y. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, look, he's red. He does red things. Go and read it yourself if you want to know. I don't care. Let's get on with the cards. That'll be the fun bit. That's the exciting bit. That's the bit we're all here for. All the cards will be good. It will be a real kind of high energy experience. We'll all love what we're doing and not hate ourselves for having wasted 5 years. Is it 5? It's probably more like 7 now. How long have I been playing Magic Puzzle Quest? Too long. Too long of my life on this goddamn game. Let's head off to Facebook. And there's an event as well. You can go and look that up yourself. I don't care. Go off to Facebook. Magic Puzzle. 6 to 7 years. Yeah, I thought it was longer than 5 years. What are we doing with our lives, Shmara? What are we doing? We should be out there, dancing amongst the snowdrops, making love in the orchards. And instead we're casting Rocco multiple times in a turn. Is that living your life? Against all odds. Here we go. Breathe. You may exile target creature you control. If you do, return it to the battlefield under your control with all the reinforcements. Okay, blink effect, not worth a whole card, but sometimes a cute thing. There is more. Return the first non-spell creature or artifact with mana value 11 or less from your graveyard to play under your control. Well, we like putting things into play. We absolutely love putting things into play. Even if they do only cost 11 or less, that seems like a pretty good card, doesn't it? Now, under Magic paper rules, we probably wouldn't be allowed to cast this if we didn't have a creature in play. I suspect Octagon won't give two figs about Magic paper rules because they never do. So you probably will just be able to cast this without a creature in play to sprog something back from your graveyard. But it's not nothing. I quite like this card. I mean, there's a world in which this is even playable in tournaments, isn't there? This is a very good start, isn't it? The very first card we looked at is actually quite good. And look, even though it's quite complicated, it hasn't got really tiny text, so I don't have to go and get my fucking glasses to read it. The signs all point to good things. Let's move on. All will be one. When another support gains shield, a creature you control is buffed, or a card you control gains oil counter. Now, do you think that includes vanguards? The easiest way to make a support gain shield is to pump up a vanguard, isn't it? Vanguards are planeswalker cards, Mills. We play planeswalkers, that's one type of planeswalkers, and vanguards are what they call planeswalker cards. He's probably gone now, I don't know why I'm explaining things to Mills. Yeah. So probably the easiest way to make a support gain a shield is to play a vanguard card, but there's of course no guarantee that's going to work. And technically under Octagon rules, if they cared about them, a card that doesn't specifically name vanguards when it says another support gain shields won't include vanguard. When you do that, an opposing vanguard support loses X shield. Okay, that's not great, but might be okay. If it can't deal X damage to any opposing target, X is this support's shield. Well, this support has 2 shield currently. That's not too good. This support gains 1 shield. This effect can trigger up to 3 times per turn. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure you're going to be able to trigger it many times in a turn, are you? You could certainly lots of ways of reinforcing creatures many times in a turn, but buffing them multiple times in a turn, I'm not too sure about. So I'm not sure you're going to be able to use this card very much. It does, of course, get out, yes, everyone get out your Steve doing his set review bingo card, because I'm about to give you the top left square by saying, what is the wrong amount of damage for a card to do? It's any finite amount of damage is the wrong amount of damage for a card to do. And this very much does a finite amount of damage. Am I going to call it high shit tier? I don't even know what high shit tier means. I mean, I am going to call it high shit tier. It's probably not even that good. Is it? High shit. One of the definitions that I came up with for high shit tier is, you know, it will be the best card in a random deck of 10 cards that you happen to be mastering at the time. And I guess that's true of this card, you know? I'll be very surprised if it's any better than high shit tier. Ambulatory Edifice. Oh, I like that. Ambulatory Edifice. 9 mana, 3/2. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may pay 5 life. If you do, target creature gets -1/-1. Now, Mills, bear in mind, Mills, that players don't have 20 life in the game of Magic Puzzle Quest. They have well over 100 generally. Do you think that this is a good card? I'll just leave that question hanging in the air. Annex Sentry, what have we got here? Now this has, what's that? Is that toxic? I've already forgotten what, yeah, oil can, the oil can looks like an oil can, doesn't it? The oil counter one actually looks like an oil counter. So this is our first creature with toxic 1. So don't be put off by the fact that it's a 1/4. It's probably about 5 times as powerful as that. If it hits your opponent 20 times, you will die. He will die, I'm sorry. When this creature enters the battlefield, exile an opposing card with the greatest mana cost is equal to 9 or less. not big enough. 9 or less. That card gains the bind. Oh, even worse. The bind emblem we've seen before, haven't we? That's the thing that makes it come back into play when the card vanishes. So that seems too low power to me. Definitely seems too low power to me. We'll move along. Anoint with Affliction. When your opponent, controls a card named Phyrexian Toxin with 3 or more reinforcements, exile target creature. That's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, they printed cards that just say exile target creature before. Why have they got to make it so shit? It's Octagon all over though, isn't it? You know, more words, less functionality, turn it into a useless card, make more work for themselves. Apostle Aura of Invasion. Hey, guys, how you doing, man? We've just started the meat of the thing. I didn't like any other Planeswalkers. There you go. You're all caught up now. Oh, here we go. Here we've got another Toxic 1 creature. At the beginning of your turn, if your opponent controls kind of Phyrexian Toxin with 3 or 4... Right, this seems like it might turn out to be a theme. This Phyrexian Toxin with 3 or more reinforcements. This creature gains double strike. Yeah, now earlier on we were wondering if Toxic might just turn out to be too good. But I mean, in this case, in a vacuum, this is just a 4/4 that's got to hit your opponent at least 3 times before it can deal 8 damage. Oh no! Right, okay, yeah, all right. I'm up to speed now. Of course, if it's got double strike, it then toxics your opponent twice as fast, doesn't it? So this is going to kill your opponent in, quickly does the maths, turns, a certain amount of turns, isn't it? Still not good enough, but you know, we could see that, you know, we're starting to see what Toxic can do better than what it has here. Archfiend of the Dross. When this creature enters the battlefield, it gains oil counter 4. Now remember, oil counter 4 means it has 4 of something. That's what that means. At the beginning of your turn, if this creature loses oil counter 1. If it doesn't have oil counter, you lose 15 life. I mean, it's not looking good for 10 mana 6/6 with Berserker, is it? You know? There are certainly stats you could put onto a creature that would mean that, you know, after a certain number of turns it would start dealing you a large amounts of damage. But a 6/6 Berserker are not those stats. When an opposing creature dies or loses a reinforcement, your opponent loses 6 life. Yeah, just way too small, isn't it? I mean, definitely very much high shit tier. But it's the curse of Berserker, isn't it? Berserker is kind of an appalling power. Back when I started playing the game, you know, I didn't kind of mind Berserker. I understood when I started playing the game that there was kind of a need to make creatures interact somehow. Now, I liked the fact that they'd put Defender and Vigilance. And yes, I didn't mind the fact that Defender and Vigilance were the same thing. Didn't mind that at all. And Reach. We spent all that time figuring out what the fucking rules for shuffling the creatures were around, were we? Didn't we? And Berserker was another way that creatures used to interact in combat. Yeah, over the years, it's just turned out to be a big pile of shit. Toxic will be busted in half. It does sound like it's going to be, doesn't it? Yeah. Toxic does very much sound like it's going to be. I mean, I don't. Are you saying that you think Apostle of Invasion is going to be good? Because I don't think Apostle of Invasion is going to be good. Even with its double strike, I don't think it's going to be good. But yeah, just generally the fact that, you know, a toxic creature is dealing a much bigger percentage of your life total, well, of the end of the game, to players than it usually has done for a certain amount of cost. And you can't heal. It does seem like it's going to be pretty fucking busted. Don't like Archfiend of the Dross. Let's move on. Oh, hello, here we go. Here is our first card that I need to get my fucking glasses out for. Should I be swearing so much? Yeah. At the beginning of the turn, you may discard the last card in your hand. If you do, destroy the opposing card with... Oh, I'm starting to like this. Destroy the opposing card with the greatest... No, I shouldn't get excited about a sentence when I'm only halfway reading the sentence, because there's going to be something shit at the end of that sentence. Destroy the opposing card. I'm going to say the start of the sentence again because I like that bit. With the greatest mana value among opposing cards with mana value less than... Oh, here we go. With mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the last card in your graveyard. Oh, that's a bit of a shame, wasn't it? Starting again, you know, started very well, that sentence. But yeah, you know, you've not got that fine control over what the last card in your graveyard is. Because anything could get dropped in your graveyard, you know? You're going to have to be playing with some cheap cards, otherwise your deck's a big pile of shit. If somebody hits you with an infinite obliteration, puts a shitty little card in your graveyard first, you can't really get it out again. Otherwise, this creature loses a reinforcement if it can't destroy this creature. Well, it hasn't got any reinforcements. Oh dear. Oh, dearie me. At the beginning of each player's turn, if your opponent controls a multicolored card, this creature gets +0, +4, and hexproof. I'm not really interested in it having +0, +4, and hexproof. It's kind of nothing, you're having hexproof. So yeah, I mean, that's basically the problem, isn't it? You know, it's nice. I mean, maybe some people will even like this because it does let you discard a card. And if you happen to have not played anything else into your graveyard already, you can feel good about the fact that you've played cleverly and you've put a Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, in your graveyard first, and then you're just popping off cards that cost 18 or less. But I just feel like you're not going to be able to rely on it. And as a result, don't like. Armoured... Gee, right, I was, you know, I was joking about the glasses there. I could actually make that out. I have a feeling I might need the actual glasses. Excuse me just a second. Swearing equals intelligence. Yes, that's what I thought. Definitely. I thought that. Let's get my glasses out. Oh my God, it's all gone into sharper focus now. At the beginning of your turn, you may have this creature gain can't attack and can't block. Why? Because we've forgotten about tap. That's why. Because you spent all that time putting the tap symbol in the game, and it appears on your creature at the end of every turn, mocking me, saying, look, Steve, look, this is what we could have had, but we've all forgotten about it now. Until the beginning of your next turn, if you do, convert X gems to your Planeswalker's colours, right? It's a 7 mana 0/3. I don't like those numbers. X is 1 plus the number of this creature's reinforcements, and presumably it's getting those from somewhere. It probably isn't. Oh my God, it probably isn't getting reinforcements from somewhere. You're probably going to have to do it yourself. This creature gains oil counter 1. This is a... Now, they did this in the last set, didn't they? With the same thing. Creatures gaining can't attack and can't block, and then they do their thing. Just make the creatures do the thing. If you're going to make them do a shit thing like this one, just make it do the thing without gaining can't attack. And just let me hit somebody for 0 points of damage and transform the colour of 1 gem on the board. I'm not going to break the game doing that, am I? Not even fucking close. What else have we got? I'll put glasses back on. What else have we got here? I had to take my glasses off, you see, because like when I'm reading the screen, I'm looking at the screen, but then when I start ranting, I'm staring off wistfully in the middle distance, waiting for inspiration to come to me. Glasses on. At the beginning of the combat on your turn, this creature has oil counter 3. Oh, God, fuck me. Creature has oil counter 3 or greater. This creature gets +3/+0 until the beginning of your next turn. For each of its reinforcement. Fuck off. When this creature attacks, which it doesn't even do, with 0 power. Creatures with 0 power don't actually attack, do they, on their own? Fuck me. What a fucking waste of it. I put my glasses on for that. Do you know, when I get a card like this, like Armoured Scrap Gorger, out of a booster, and I forgot what it does, I don't even fucking bother to read it. I just look at all the blurry fucking text. I just fucking scroll past it. Even if it's a brand new card, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I've already dismissed this as part of the set review. I'm never going to look at it again. Aspirant's Ascent. Target creature you control gets +1/+3 and flying. If that creature doesn't have Toxic, it gains Toxic 1 until end of turn. I mean, obviously shit. I'm just thinking about the fact that, like, they're not really paying attention, are they, to the fact that Toxic and +X/+X are basically the same thing. Creatures don't block in this game as a matter of course. Yeah? If I have creatures and you have creatures, nobody can block. Only specific creatures with blocking abilities let creatures block, and most of them don't have them. So I think we're going to be seeing a fair amount of this. X creature gets more power, which kills you one way, and more Toxic, which kills you another way, and then the two of them are in tension and you've wasted one of them, basically. Anyway, that's terrible. It's a common. What do you expect? When you cast a spell or support card, this creature gains oil counter 1, right? It gets a 1 of something. At the beginning of your turn, if it has oil counter 1 or greater, it gains flying. Fuck off! Atraxa! Okay, now I've seen this already, actually, in the channel. As you know, I try and avoid most of the cards before I launch into a set review. I want to see them all for the first time. But, you know, I do always see a few things on Discord. And this is one that people pulled out. And this is definitely a good card. And also probably not good enough. Let's have a look. We've got 25 mana. It's very expensive. Lifelink. Death Touch, Flying. Lifelink's a relevant ability. None of those other abilities are at all particularly interesting. When this creature enters the battlefield, fetch the first creature card from your library, fetch the first spell card from your library, fetch the first support card from your library, the last 3 cards in your hand, which are those 3 cards that you've just fetched, gain half their mana. Now, and people like the sound of this in Legacy, and I mean, I kind of understand that. You've got Omnipotence in Legacy, and this is just goes engine crazy, doesn't it? When you've got one of these, it fetches, every time you put it out, it fetches the next Omnipotence, you know? It's got, you know, multiple ways. Then you're obviously playing with Whir of Invention to fetch the Omnipotence out. You're playing this to fetch the Omnipotence. So you can see how this would be amazing in Legacy. The problem is that Omnipotence already has, like, the Omni-Hulk shell and now the Fire Servant shell. And Fire Servant just wins. You know, it's like, you don't... Omni-Hulk is like, well, I set up my combo and then I cast a lot of cards and I win. And maybe I fizzle, but it probably doesn't matter because I've got loads of power and toughness on the table, even if I fizzle. I think some people probably fizzle less than I do because they're not playing with Stitch in time. But Fire Servant, just as soon as you've got the combos, pow, you're dead. You know what I mean? It's just, it's such a good deck. I don't think those of us with Omni-Hulk and above will be playing with this. Will we be playing with it in Standard? I mean, it seems unlikely because it's 25 mana, but you never know. If there are ways to cheat it into play. And I personally don't count Cut Your Losses as a way to cheat it into play, but I think there are players out there who will think that playing Cut Your Losses as a way of cheating it into play. You get good value from it, and you get a lifelinker. So I don't think I'm going to be playing with this card. Now, all you clever bitches out there, you're all going, oh, but Steve, you don't play with Blade Coil Serpent. Blade Core Serpent is a lot better than this card. Come on, come on, come on. You know, I would play with Blade Coil Serpent. It's just because I'm forced into specific circumstances with particular decks that I like to play, and I don't have room in those decks to fit Blade Serpent into it, and it doesn't have synergy with everything else. So that's literally the only reason I'm not playing with Blade Serpent. It's an amazing card. Blade Serpent is better than this. I don't know. I don't know if other top players in the game will go. I suspect Goz will be playing with this. Goz, are you playing with Atraxa? It seems a bit Timmy, Power Gamer. So it's yeah, it's definitely better than high shit tier. I just don't think the people. I think most people who have got better than this in Legacy. You know, there may be new players coming along who'll get hold of this and will play this in Legacy. But I think most. Her and Rem. What am I missing with Rem? Oh, Rem gives a... Right, okay. Rem gives a prevent damage. And as we all know, prevent damage and vigilance, we all know how that interaction works, don't we? Unless you're Octagon, I think. But, yeah, so having prevent damage and a defensive ability just means you can block things all day long. Still too expensive for me, but... Yeah, I mean, definitely at least good. Atraxa, Praetors. So I'm sorry, we just had Atraxa. This is another Atraxa. What have we got here? 14 mana for the same set of abilities. Bit expensive, isn't it? 14 mana for a lifelink. At the end of your turn, proliferate, escalate. So, you know, so it's pumping up your... I don't think that's good enough. But it's pumping up your toxin token. Some can remind me what proliferate does. It buffs your already buffed creatures, doesn't it? By +1/+1. That's basically nothing. It doesn't do vanguards, does it? It doesn't do your own loyalty. Somebody reminded me of this the other day, and it's all gone out of my head. I'm unexcited by Atraxa Praetor's voice anyway. You know, like as I say, you're going to be wanting, if you're going to kill somebody with toxin, you are going to be wanting to play with a variety of cards that do the toxic effect, and this might be one of them. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Atraxa's Skitterfang. It's a shit common. When this card enters the battlefield, gains oil counter 3. So what's happening in the chat? Why wouldn't proliferate work on Vanguard? Oh, that's my memory of it, is that proliferate does not increase the value of Vanguard. We've had proliferate in the game already, don't forget. Proliferate is an existing ability that we've already got. And it's my memory that it doesn't pump up Vanguards. It does work on Planeswalkers in paper, yes, and that's why it should work on Vanguard. But it's my memory that it doesn't. Shall I go over to my PC and see if I can find out what... Oh, there's no way. Somebody find me a link to what proliferate does in the chat, please. Please, my ever amazing viewers. Proliferate isn't going to pump the toxin token. No, proliferate doesn't pump the toxin token, but escalate does pump the toxin token. That's the thing. Escalate doesn't create it. I made a point of remembering this at the start of the review. If you've not already done some poison damage to your opponent, escalate won't pump it up. But if there's already one there, it's going to add one to it. Escalate. Is escalate a thing in paper? Is escalate a keyword in paper? It feels like it's just pump. No, it'll pump toxic tokens. Oh, I think you meant... Sorry. the chat's confused, and I'm confused, trying to keep up with it. Yeah, you don't get poison counters in this game like you do in paper. You get a support on the board with a number on it that ticks up. And until that support has been created, the toxin counter has been created, you're not getting poison. Now, a creature that hits you for poison damage will give you poison because it has the toxic ability, but escalate won't create the token. I'm not going over this again. You'll all have to pay attention in future. Let's move on anyway. I was already halfway through reading this. It's got oil counter 3, which means it's got 3 of something. At the beginning of your turn, if it's got oil counter 1 or greater, it loses oil counter 1. That's a lot of words to do nothing so far, isn't it? Then, here we go. Target creature you control gains an evergreen at random between Flying, Vigilance, Lifelink, and Death Touch. Well, yeah, most of those don't actually fucking do anything, Octagon, do they? So, you know, we like Lifelink, but not. We don't want to have to put the fucking 9 mana 2/2 down to get it one quarter of the time. Pauper has the keyword escalate. Sounds very different from how. Oh, I mean, yeah, it will be different from how MPQ does it. I just wondered if it's because every so often. I mean, does paper even have oil counter? I don't even know. Let's move on to Awaken the Sleeper. Gain control of target opposing creature until end of turn. 8 mana is too much for that. It gains haste until end of turn. And opposing equipment support loses X shield. Oh dear. Now don't just assume that because equipment is in this set, equipment is going to be a thing, Octagon. It's not going to be a thing unless you really push the power level of them. And I doubt that you have. Card is too expensive. And we move on. Basilica Shepherd. It's a bitchin' looking card. When this creature enters the battlefield, create 2 Phyrexian Might tokens. Oh my god, please God tell me that Phyrexian Might tokens have Toxin. Please tell me that we're going to have a load of cards that create fucking token creatures that create poison counters. Because that would just be great, wouldn't it? It feels like they should, doesn't it? Feels like they should. If this is just 15 mana for a 3/3 and a 2/2. I mean, you know, again, if it's 15 mana for a 3/3 and a 2/2 with Toxin 1, I mean, that's still a bit crap. But I just like the idea that we might be able to you filter and just go through. I shouldn't I? No, I mean, this is kind of the whole point of the review. If you want a review that only goes through the good cards, Mills, go and watch my good friend Gozmaster, because he just reviews the rares and the mythics and the masterpieces, and he doesn't go through all of the shitty cards. But it's my USP that I go through all of the shitty cards, and I get really annoyed about how fucking awful they are. Anyway, yes, so in short, this card, not particularly good, but I'm intrigued by Phyrexian Might tokens. Basilica Skullbomb. Again, I like the art. When you match 4 or more white gems, it's a bit too much. Support loses a reinforcement. Oh, fucking hell. That's kind of terrible, isn't it? Destroy support, and then target creature you control gets +2, and flying till end of turn. God, it doesn't even get it permanently. Jeez. When it's destroyed or loses a reinforcement. I mean, so I'm reminded of, I like drawing cards, but I'm reminded of Sunset Pyramid, yeah? And it loses a reinforcement every turn and draws you a card every turn. Make it a bit more like that. Bilious Skull Dweller. Now here we go. Toxic 1 for 4 mana. So for 4 mana, we're putting a creature into play. It's going to kill your opponent in 20 attacks. Now we're not going to need many cards like this for these to be a real danger, are we? This is kind of what I was thinking of. You know, 20 attacks from this guy, yes, but oh, and they've thrown in Death Touch. So if anyone decides that blocking is a strategy, we've got a nice cheap way of dealing with that as well. But if there's like 3 different versions of this, somebody might get a really good turn 1, put down 3 different creatures on turn 1 that all have Toxic 1. And that's really put you on quite the clock, hasn't it? And again, it's a clock that you can't heal from. So, yeah. we're starting to get creatures we want to watch. Certainly this isn't going to kill you on its own, but we're starting to see, I think, the forecast. Yes, we're starting to see creatures and maybe what we can do. Black Sun's Twilight. I see the level counter. I don't like the level counter. The level counter is generally shit, isn't it? Immediately, we've got to be thinking of Blue Sun Zenith, which is still one of the most powerful cards in the game, isn't it? And I think this probably isn't going to match up to it. Oh, and it's only rare as well. When you match 3 or more black gems, if this card is in your hand, increase this card's level by 1. Okay. Again, I never mind this idea of, you know, cards in your hand that get better as you go along. But in practice, they're always shit. All the level counter ones we've had have been shit. Enhance was just god-awful in practice. Target creature gets -X until end of turn. No, not until end of turn. Just permanently, Octagon. Stop writing until end of turn on things. X is this card's level. If X is 5 or more, Jesus, it's quite high. Take a long time to do it. Turn the first creature with the greatest mana value up to 17. Oh, it's important it's up to 17, isn't it? Thank God it's up to 17. All hell would break loose if the fucking creature with 18 mana cost came out of the graveyard. Battlefield under your control. Yeah. At the end of your turn, if this card is in your hand. Oh, okay. Here's something. If you didn't match black gems this turn, convert 1 gem to black. Terrible. Convert 1 gem. Terrible. Convert gem at end of turn. Terrible. Exactly the wrong time to be doing it. That's just a bad card, isn't it? It's a piece of shit card. Let's not forget that the core of what this card does is give something -X until end of turn. Oh, it can kill a bilious skull dweller. Hooray! But yeah, it's not going to be able to kill a blade core serpent, even though it's only a tiny 5/4 very easily. So absolute shit. Lands. Oh God. I've got to prepare myself for this. If we get another terrible cycle of lands, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I've been making do with the Renin 6, the Vanguard Renin 6 as my fake land in this standard so far, and it's been okay. I've been playing Ral, I've been playing it with time reversal, I've been converting a lot of gems because all of the lands we've had are shit since the Zendikar lands rotated out. But if we've only got 2 sets left before rotation, and then we're just going to have to, if they haven't printed some good lands before then, I don't know what I'm going to, maybe I'll quit. Maybe I'll start playing better games than this. Here we go. When the support enters the board, if you control no other land cards, convert 3 gems to black or red. Okay, they've tried something new. Points for trying something new. Not particularly good because we're converting to 2 different colours. I mean, we've had that before. We've had steam vents and the cycle we had. Did a similar thing. If you'd taken some damage, you converted a bit of a few gems. At the beginning of your turn, if you control no other land cards, convert 3 gems to black or red. Otherwise, convert 2 gems to black or red. Yeah, the problem is the 2 colourness of it, isn't it? It's not good. We're going to have a whole cycle of these at rare, and they're all going to be the same. And yeah, it's not good. I mean, it's not the worst cards, land card. Is everyone playing with you know, those lands that that you said you liked because that you could play you know, that didn't reinforce? Is everyone playing with loads of those? I never see anyone playing with those. I wonder why. Maybe it's because they're shit. Maybe that's why. Badlands again. I'm not even going to do. Normally I do my spiel, don't I? For you, I'll do it anyway. For those of you out there playing set review bingo, I'll say I can't be too mad at Badlands because at least they give you a bit of mana conversion when you're mastering cards. But now I'm starting to just lose that point of view altogether because we do actually need some good lands. You can't just make bad lands. So I think now I hate Badlands. So I think we might have to scrub that one off the bingo card. For Mirrodin! For loop decks. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, people did used to do that with, like I say, steam vents in Thousand Year Storm. But even so, I mean, you'd much rather put 5 mana into all of the cards in your hand for a loop deck, wouldn't you? Than convert 3 gems to one of 2 different colours. You know, I flatter myself that I know you well enough, guys, that you'd much rather have that, you know, the other cycle that put 5 mana into all of the cards in your hand. When the support enters the board, create a copy of target non-token creature into the battlefield under your control. Why is this an equipment? It doesn't sound like it equips to anything. Why is it an equipment? When the support enters, so you get a 2/2. For Mirrodin, means you get a 2/2 red creature. Yeah? And then when it enters the board, create a copy of target non-token creature into the battlefield under your control. I mean, I'm tempted to say this isn't even high shit tier. This is going to annoy me when I'm mastering cards. You know? It's got that, you know, major problem with copy card. I'm sure we've had cards a bit like this before. That, you know, it sounds great that you can copy something great that your opponent plays. But then if your opponent doesn't play anything that's any fucking use to you at all, and they might be some use to him and no use to you, that can happen. It's not the case that just because his cards are no use to you, they're no use to him. So, yes, but mostly, why is it an equipment? Who knows? Don't like it. Moving on. Bladed Ambassador. This creature gets oil counter 1. Activate 3. If it's got oil counter 1 or greater, it loses oil counter and then it gets prevent damage. Who fucking cares? Moving on. Bladegraft Aspirant has got Bravery. There's no point doing the Bravery rant. You can have a tick for Bravery on your bingo cards, everyone, but I'm not doing the Bravery rant. It's too hackneyed now. At the beginning of your turn, reduce the cost of each equipment card in your hand by 3. Oh, there you go. One of the equipment cards it can reduce the cost of is Blade of Shard Souls. Ooh. By 3 until end of turn. Can you not just do it permanently? Still shit, innit? If you do it permanently. Stop writing until end of turn on cards. That's got to be on the bingo card, isn't it? Is that on the bingo card? Yeah, that's on the bingo card. When you match an equipment supports gem, a random equipment support you control gains 1 shield. This effect can only trigger once per turn. That's a really weird. Why not just give all of your equipment resilient? I mean, we all know the answer to that, of course, is that Octagon have forgotten that resilient exists. They've no idea what their own game does. What a weird way of making that ability. Anyway, shit card, moving on. Here's an equipment that actually has an equip cost on it. At the beginning of, well, so we get the 2/2 for Mirrodin. At the beginning of combat on your turn, equipment cards in your hand gain 2 mana. See, that's permanent, isn't it? Why is this one only reducing the cost until end of turn, but this one is giving you 2 mana? Full stop. Permanent. Your first creature gains double strike until the beginning of your next turn. You can see how there might be a deck in this. Yeah, you can see how there might be a deck of just filling your deck full of equipment cards and them all having for Mirrodin on them. But there isn't. There's definitely not, because they're all shit cards. They're all shit costed like this. 10 mana, 1 equip, 2 shields. That creates a 2/2. I think double strike. You could say that double strike isn't nothing. I'll probably run into some noobs playing this in standard events. They will lose to me. What have we got here? 7 mana 2/2, toxic 1. When this creature dies, proliferate. Did anyone go and check for me what proliferate did? No, I don't care either. It does. If it did something good, I'd be able to. I used to play cards with proliferate in it in Ravnica at War. Forced us all to play cards with proliferate in it. If proliferate actually did something good, we'd all remember what it did, wouldn't we? Clearly, it doesn't. Used to play that 9-mana draw thing that with proliferate. I didn't care that it proliferate. I just cared that it got copied by Thousand Year Storm. That's all I cared about. So, not as frankly, you know, not as good as the 4-mana 1/1. Yeah? And if there aren't a bunch of 4-mana 1/1s, then we're going to be a bit safe from the toxic beatdown. You know, if they've got to play the 4-mana 1/1, they've got to play one of these for a toxic one. They've got to play something else for a toxic one. We might get away with it. But you never know. Bloated Contaminator, toxic 1. When this creature deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, proliferate and escalate. So same as toxic 2 then. So this is going to hit your opponent, pow. For 1 damage, they're going to gain a poison token, and then it's going to be dealing 2. So this is going to kill your opponent in 11 swings. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Somebody's going to play it. They're going to play the 4-mana. They're going to play the Blightbelly Rat. They're going to play the Bloated Contaminator. They might even get them all down on turn 1. That's a bit scary, isn't it? That's Toxic 4 coming at you for 20 mana. Jeez, I mean, maybe just deploy the Gatewatch. We don't have that in Standard. I know. It's definitely more scary than we've ever had from a collection of common creatures before now. That's the thing. Still waiting for the thing that tips it over the X. There he is, good old Ginger Taxi. When you match, these are all going to be shit, aren't they? All going to be level-based shit. Oh, maybe they're not. It says, I can see gain control coming to me in my future. When you match 3 or more blue gems, increases card's level by 3. Yeah, obviously not 1. The black one only increases it by 1. Yeah? Because black has to be shit. But blue, by law, has to be at least 3 times more powerful. So we're increasing the level by 3. Gain control of target opposing creature with mana cost X or less. X is 15 or more, reinforce that creature. X is this card's level. I mean, this still doesn't seem good enough, does it? You know? You know, there are corner case tiny creatures. Redversary, for example, the red adversary. But, I mean, does anyone really play the red adversary? Does anyone play the black adversary anymore? It's all fucking combo decks these days, isn't it? And you wouldn't want to play this at the with mana value X or less. I was just going to say you wouldn't want to play this at the black adversary, tainted adversary, but you could, couldn't you? Because this will still take control of a big stack of decaying zombie tokens, won't it? So, yeah, I mean, generally not good enough. Oh, there's some more obvious. Oh, yeah, that's right. The bit at the end is going to be the same as it was. At the end of your turn, so this card's in your hand, you didn't match any blue gems, convert 1 gem to blue, mostly a bit shit. So, yes, two corner casey, you know. There are corner cases where you might want to play this, but it's not, it doesn't have that general power level that you need to just throw it into your standard deck and forget about it. Bone Picker Scourge. At the beginning of your turn, if your opponent controls a card named Phyrexian Toxin with 3 or more reinforcements, creature gains lifelink and death touch until the beginning of your next. Yes, it's important. It's the beginning of your next turn. That's very important. Because, you know, he might lose his toxin tokens. We all know that the whole point of toxic tokens is you can lose them. Yeah, you gain them, but you can lose them just as easily. Yeah, we all know that. So it's very important you only gain lifelink and death touch until the beginning of your next turn. Okay, here we go. We're getting a bit bigger now, aren't we, as we go along. We're still only at B, remember? This is Toxic 2. This is an 8 mana Toxic 2. 10 swings. This'll have ya. We've got Threats Undetected, haven't we? Which is going and getting... Isn't that getting multiple creatures? I have to say I've never actually played with Threats Undetected. But it's getting multiple creatures and putting mana into them. I feel like maybe Threats Undetected, a single one of those for 9 mana, is going to put quite a big poison count down on the board. Or at least very nearly put it down on the board. Gain 1 loyalty. Give your buff creatures +1/+1. Thank you, Nels. Give your Vanguard support... Oh, it does work on Vanguard, sure. I wonder why I thought Proliferate didn't work on Vanguards. And read the next chapter of your song. Okay, whatever the fuck. Yeah. 1 loyalty, buff creatures +1/+1. It does... Okay, gives you a Vanguard +1 shield. Basically a whole lot of nothing, anyway. So, yeah, back to Toxin. Yeah, Threats Undetected. I feel like there are going to be things... I mean... For fuck's sake, if you want a card that just draws cards and puts mana into them, we do have Time Reversal at the moment. It does seem reasonably likely that somebody's just going to put multiple creatures down fairly quick that have toxic counters and are quite the threat. You've got time. I mean, we all live in a world where somebody might drop multiple Gaia's Revenges, and that puts you on the clock. It doesn't happen as quickly as just somebody playing a 4 mana creature and an 8 mana creature. Bring the ending. Is that Jace with an expression on his face? That can't be Jace. Look at him. Why isn't he staring wistfully into the middle distance? Silently being a fucking arsehole. I've never seen Jace express an emotion before. It can't be. It must be somebody else. Somebody else with blue eyes. If your opponent controls a card with Toxin 3 or more reinforcements, your opponent discards the first card that can be discarded from their hand. Otherwise, drain 9 mana from your opponent's hand. I don't like it. I don't like any of these. They need to really think about what... I just heard myself. I played that back and I heard myself say, Oxygen really need to put some thought into their design. Yeah, that's what they need to do. They need to really, I'm going to carry this thought since I've had it. Ridiculous though it is, they need to really think about what type of effects you want to play later in the game and are worth waiting for. That's not one. Cacophony Scamp. When this creature deals combat damage, if it's reinforced, it loses a reinforcement, proliferate, escalate. When this creature dies or loses a reinforcement, opposing Vanguard support. That's a bit shite, isn't it? A bit shite. It's like they're writing the text on these cards and just forgetting that they don't have loads of reinforcements, isn't it? Yeah, when this creature loses a reinforcement, you're like, where's it getting its reinforcements from? And they're like, I haven't got time for that. I've spent 15 minutes designing this card. On to the next one. Cankerbloom. Yeah, I'm totally getting The Last of Us vibes from this. I've been watching The Last of Us. Have you all been watching The Last of Us? It's very good. Activate 4. You can have this creature gain imminent death. Yeah, of course, because it's got no fucking reinforcements. Why not give it imminent death? How many of these things do you think we're playing, Octagon? I don't understand you. Understand you people. When this creature dies or loses reinforcement, destroy an opposing artifact or enchantment at random. Yeah. If you can't, proliferate. You'll definitely go insane comparing paper to paper. Yes, you absolutely will go insane comparing paper to Puzzle Quest. That way madness lies. Or just ascribing sensible motives to Octagon. So yes, clearly shit. They so love imminent death. There's nothing fucking wrong with just making a 6 mana 3/2 creature that comes into play and goes bam, one of your supports is dead. Nothing wrong with that. They just fucking love putting imminent death on things for for no fucking reason. Capricious Hellraiser. At the beginning of your turn, if this card is in your hand... Who said they love the... Oh, Canada, my opinion of you has vanished. Has dropped down to the floor. You love the weirdness, I suppose. I mean, I don't know exactly what you're talking. I just naturally assumed, when you said you love the weirdness, I just naturally assumed that what you meant was you love the fact that every card has a million words on it, none of which actually have any effect on the gameplay. And you probably mean something more esoteric than that. So, I have to give you the benefit of the doubt there. At the beginning of your turn, if this card is in your hand, if there are 5 or more cards in your graveyard, reduce this card's cost by 9 until end of turn. Right. I mean, I'm not really excited by the fact that I'm then getting a 7 mana 4/4. I mean, that's not really not really very exciting, is it? A 7 mana 4/4. When this creature enters the battlefield, exile 3 non-land spell or support cards at random from your graveyard. Okay, it's not actually putting those cards in there. It wants cards into your graveyard to reduce its cost, but it's not actually putting them in there. These cards gain the Forge emblem. We might have had the Forge emblem before, I can't remember. Pick one of the last 3 cards with the Forge emblem from your exile. Create a copy in your hand, it gains 4 mana. So you put it into the graveyard, exile 3 cards, spell or supports at random. So you've got a certain amount of choice. What's coming back? I mean, it seems not good enough to me. Enters the battlefield, you don't have to cast it, so you can flicker it and get another copy of something. I don't know. I doubt this is going to be good. And there's a little bit of a build around factor on it, which means it's not even going to be technically. Yeah, this is the problem with high shit tier as a definition, is you don't build mastery decks. Dear. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to be good enough. I mean, we saw a nice flicker effect on a card earlier, but we're going to have something like Thassa, really, to be excited about a card like this. A guaranteed every turn flicker, not just a card that you cast and then goes into your graveyard to do the flickering. So, I mean, high shit, let's call it high shit tier and move on. Carnivorous Canopy. Destroy the first opposing creature with flying. If you can't destroy an artifact or enchantment, too expensive for 8 mana. Then, okay, we're like then. Now then does mean that you have to do one of those things. That means can't mean you throw it out. If the base mana value of the last card in your opponent's graveyard is 9 or less, proliferate, escalate. Right, rubbish. Cephalopod Sentry. At the beginning of your turn, this creature gets +X +0 till the beginning of your next turn. The creature gets +X +0 for each of its hang on. Beginning of your turn, this creature gets +X +0, yes. Right, and we don't know what that is yet. This creature gets +X +0 for each of its reinforcements. Right, there's the same sentence again. They're just being ugly about it. Okay, yeah, for each of its reinforcements. X the number of artifacts you control go away. Charge of the Mites. Create 2 Phyrexian Mite tokens, which we're hoping have, or maybe we're not hoping, maybe we're dreading now the fact that they might have Toxic 1. Then deal X damage to target creature. X is the number of creatures you control, including their reinforcements. Very low power, isn't it? But, very low power on potentially toxic cards. But I mean, we've said all we've had to say about kind of mid-range toxic cards. We're looking for toxic cards that push the envelope of what we've already seen now. Phyrexian Rat. What is that thing climbing on? It's on a big eyeball. What is it climbing on exactly? I can't tell. The Mite tokens in paper have toxic. All right, yeah, thanks, Nels. Yeah, so they're all going to be toxic 1. But of course, 2 tokens are going to reinforce in Magic Public Quest and become a single 2/2 creature with Toxic 1. At the end of your turn, if your opponent controls, yeah, it's doing that thing, you have target creature you control gain imminent death. When a creature or artifact card you control is destroyed or loses a reinforcement, draw a card, it gains 3 mana. Oh, how very generous. I can throw my own creatures away to get 3 mana. Thank you so much. Churning Reservoir. At the beginning of... nope, don't care. At the beginning of your turn, let's have a nice rare. This has got 3 shields. It costs 6. Maybe this will be a good card. At the beginning of your turn, you may have target creature gain oil counter 1. If you don't, another artifact support you control gains oil counter 1. When a card you control gains oil counter, create a goblin token. Gains the Phyrexian subtype. Or create a Phyrexian goblin token. Could do that. When a card you control with oil counter is destroyed or loses a reinforcement, create a goblin token. So it's creating a 1/1 every turn. Target creature you control. Yeah, so it can give it to the goblin token. So it's spitting out creatures very, very slowly, so we don't care. Cinder Slash Ravager. At the beginning of your turn, if this card is in your hand, reduce this card's cost by X. X is the total oil counter value. Oh, yeah, no, that's really good now, because I was thinking that a 17 mana 5/5 was absolute fucking pantsy waste of time shit. But now I know that its cost is going to be reduced by the number of oil counters in play. Oh, I'm going to be playing with this card all the fucking time. When this creature enters the battlefield, deal 1 damage to each opposing creature. Deal 1 damage to each opposing creature for each of their reinforcements. That's great. Well, it will kill a whole stack of Thopters and goblins for that matter. You know what it won't kill? Decaying zombies. That's all that won't kill. For 17 fucking mana. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Or you know, or just permanently. Still shit effect. Just stop writing until end of turn on things. If that creature has toxic, draw a card. Right, yeah, there's better. There's better ways of drawing a card cheaply. Conduit of Worlds, Mana Field. I am still suspicious of Mana Field. I'm still not quite so into all these moxes like you people are. I built a deck the other day for something. I forget what it was. I just put a mox right into it without even a word. And I posted it on the forums. Just like, look, here's a deck. And I just put a mox into it. The only reason I put the mox into it is because all you people out there think that moxes are really great. And I thought, well, I'll just go with it. You all think it's great. I'll go with it. I played 1 game with that deck. Guess where my fucking mox went? Go on, have a guess where my fucking mox went. You've got a 50-50 chance of getting it right, because the correct answer is either in the bottom left corner of the board or the bottom right corner of the board. But it was one of those. So I'm still not entirely sold on it. It's very good, and it's probably not going to screw you, but it might. Pick one of the first 4 creature or support cards from your graveyard. Fetch that card. If it's a land card, it gains full mana, otherwise it gains half its mana. I mean, that seems quite powerful, doesn't it? Because you're getting a card out of it. The mox, of course, is throwing mana into... Oh, do you not like moxes, guys? Everyone seems... I thought everybody loved moxes, except me. So I'm lumping all of you people into a group. But, you know, you can come and join my team if you like. It's very lonely here, us mox haters. Yeah, so you're paying a bit more for this card than you would for a mox. And you're getting less mana out of it, but it is at least putting cards into your hand. It's okay. I'm not going to play with it. Contagious Vorak. When this creature enters the battlefield, pick one of the first 4 cards from your library. If it's a land, fetch a card against 4 mana. Not enough! Especially for a rubbish 10 mana 3/3. Otherwise, proliferate, escalate. Move all cards that weren't fetched his way to the bottom of your... Just an array of low power things that we're not interested in. Here's another one of those lands. Are you really going to be playing with these guys? I can't see myself. Did you know, you're going to have a fucking heart attack when I tell you this, but did you know, guys, that I don't play with Dakon in Coalition of it? I know. Somebody call an ambulance. He's fainted dead away. He may only have minutes. But I don't play with Dakon in Coalition of it. And the reason is just that his lands, there are no good lands to play with him at the moment. That's why I've moved over to Ral. Even though Ral, you know, has got a more limited colour palette to play with. Even though Ral doesn't have any flashcards in standard at the moment. Even though Ral's got less life, far less life than Dakon. I just don't like the fact that Dakon's playing with shitty lands. I mean, yeah, we've got Cut Your Losses. I like Cut Your Losses. I play with that in my Ral decks. This land is not exciting enough to get me playing with lands again. Cutthroat Centurion. 8 mana 2/2. The weird thing about toxic cards is, you know, I'm going through the decks looking for toxic cards. If an 8 mana 2/2 with Toxic 2 turns up, I'm like, ooh, okay, let's have a bit of a think about that. And the flip side of that, of course, is that if an 8 mana 2/2 without Toxic turns up, it just looks so fucking awful, doesn't it? You may have target creature you control lose a reinforcement. This is imminent death disease, isn't it? They love imminent death. And it's just spilled over into just reinforcements generally. Yeah, everything will probably have loads of reinforcements. You may have target creature. If you can't destroy that creature, yeah, okay. Then this creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Is that it? Is that all it does? This effect can only trigger once per turn. Yeah, I mean, God forbid this was an 8 mana 4/4. Suck 'em. This is the blue-black version. Yep, doing its thing. Decimator Web. Yeah, come on now. Let's have a good masterpiece card. Are those like llamas? What are those things on the outside? It looks like a llama or a goat. No, it's a toucan. That's a beak. That's what it is. It's a big beak that's looking. It's got kind of an afro. I think it's some kind of bird. That's what I think, anyway. Let's have a look. This is a mana field card again. Your opponent loses 6 life. Destroy the top 6 cards of your opponent's library. Yeah, they've not learnt that one, have they? They've not learnt that lesson that we do not want to be milling our opponents. Because that's just giving them things into their graveyard that they can use. It cannot kill them. Create a Phyrexian Toxin token under your opponent's control. Now, this begs the question, if you create a Phyrexian Toxin token, when somebody has a Phyrexian Toxin token, does that reinforce the Phyrexian Toxin token? I knew that was going to happen eventually. Does the Phyrexian Toxin token reinforce if you put a Phyrexian Toxin on top of another Toxin token? Because if it does, this is going to fucking kill people, isn't it? Yeah? Because triggering mana field with some Cut Your Losses and some mana conversion isn't going to be too hard. If, on the other hand, once they've got a Phyrexian Toxin, and you give them another Phyrexian Toxin, they can't get another Phyrexian Toxin, and they remain with one Phyrexian Toxin in play, then this is a bit shit. I mean, why is it making them lose 6 life? Who cares if it's making them lose 6 life if you're going to be killing them with poison? It's almost like they don't... It does reinforce them! Holy shit! This card... I mean, this is legit, isn't it? Even I can see, with my general dislike of Mana Field, that this is a legit card. You know? I mean, I'm not saying that it's definitely tier 1, and I'm not saying it's a definite absolute must chase. But this seems like a very dangerous piece of the Toxic deck. So I probably will be getting hold of one of these. I mean, I tend to do, don't bear in mind, just because I'm going to spend some of my 8,000 jewels. Yes, I have 8,000 jewels. You can all touch my feet and praise me. Just because I'm going to spend some of those jewels on certain cards when this set comes out, that's not an endorsement saying that it's the best thing in the entire world. But I am going to be getting one of these, I think. Like I say, as long as the Phyrexian Toxin actually reinforcements and gains a shield, then seems like a legit card. And of course, very scary for your opponent to have. Don't forget to come pack in Demolish. You know, Void Ren's okay, but let's face it, you've got to pack a Demolish. Where's your Dakon now with your Demolish, eh? Can't play Demolish, can he? I'm sure he's probably got something. I don't know. Distorted Curiosity. The beginning of your turn, if this card is in your hand, and he does the 3 or more reinforcements thing, reduce this card's cost by 6. Draw 2 cards, they gain 3 mana. Yeah, not good enough. I mean, don't we still, I think we've still got, at the moment, we've still got Curse of Surveillance. And this compares very unfavourably, I think, to a Curse of Surveillance. Moving on. Dragonwing Glider. Famiridin! Is that a goblin flying that thing? Looks like a goblin flying that thing. At the beginning of combat on your turn, your first creature gets +2/+2 and flying and haste. I know we're only at D, but where's the equipment that gives something toxic? I mean, that's what we're all waiting for, isn't it? So let's have a nice mythic that gives a creature some low number like toxic 4 or 5 or something, yeah? That's what we all want to see, isn't it? +2/+2, I mean, fuck that shit, man. Flying and haste. Yeah, don't care. Haste is not a thing we generally care about. That's a rare. I mean, that's not rare power level, is it? Not at all. Who is this? This is Drivnod. Hello, Drivnod. Carnage Dominus. And he is an 8/3. Some odd numbers. When a creature you control, you may have it and lose another revolver. Jesus Christ. This better be getting them from somewhere. Please, God, tell us. You may have it lose another reinforcement. If you can't destroy that creature, then reinforce. Right, hang on a second. Creature loses a reinforcement, right? You can have it lose another reinforcement or destroy it. Then you can reinforce something. I see. So I've got some Phyrexian Mites over there. Yeah? When they happen to lose a reinforcement, which doesn't happen, but let's say it did, I can make them lose another one. So I'd lose my 2 Phyrexian Mites and I'll be able to reinforce this 8/3 guy. I'm not excited, but that's generally where you're supposed to be getting the power from. Activate 5 black. 5 is okay with an activate number. 5 is the minimum you'd really want from an activate number to be able to actually do it. If this creature doesn't have prevent damage, and you have 3 or more creature cards in your go, 3 or more creature cards is quite a lot. 3 or more cards I could go with. 3 more creature cards seems like quite a lot. If you do, this creature gains prevent damage. Permanently? I mean, we're jumping through hoops just to get prevent damage, and there are creatures that just have it, aren't there? There is somebody in the new set, isn't there? I remember seeing somebody, you know, posting a creature that's got vigilance and prevent damage. Yeah? Isn't that right? So don't give me a creature that has prevent damage. And this creature's got nothing to do with prevent damage. All it is a creature that can't block. So don't waste my time. Dross Skull Bomb. Right, we've seen these before. Matching gems, yes. Destroy the support, yes. Pick one of the first creature cards in your graveyard. Fetch that card with no mana. Absolute pants. Moving on. Oh, the spell bombs were such a nice cycle in the old Mirrodin. I bet the skull bombs in paper. I bet they're really cool, nice little cantripy things that you like to play with. Fucking wrecked them here. They're absolute shit. Drown in Ica. Target creature gets -4/-4. Absolute shit. Thanks for dropping in, Goz. Been nice to see you. Thank you very much. You take care. I'll try and get the... well, of course, this stream will stay up for a week on Twitch now, no longer. Because Twitch are bastards as well. I shouldn't be calling Twitch bastards on their own. Maybe Twitch are quite nice people and they just can't afford servers. But I'll try and get it up on YouTube. Shmar always bothers me if I don't get it up on YouTube. She likes to listen to my dulcet tones. So yes, not good enough. We do definitely want to see some cards that say do a thing, escalate on them. You know, we'd like to see an artificer's epiphany. We'd like to see one of those that costs like 2 mana and draw a card and doesn't escalate. So we're in the market for something like that, but definitely not that thing. It's shit. Beginning of your turn, this creature gains first strike until end of turn. I love it. I know why they've done this. The short answer, if you want to skip ahead in the video, is for no reason, right? But I actually know where this has come from, because I watched a video by what's the guy's name? Gavin Verhey did a video that I watched on YouTube a little while ago, where he was explaining why they've started printing on paper Magic cards. Creatures only have first strike when attacking, and it's for obvious reasons. Yeah, is that an attacking creature with first strike is only going to kill one of your opponent's creatures, and a defending creature with first strike could potentially kill all of your opponent's creatures, and so it causes stalemates, and that's bad for the game of Magic, and they don't like that. So Octagon naturally have copied that first strike on your turn and put it on this card, even though it does nothing at all in this game because creatures can't block. So thanks very much for that. It's a little toxic creature, you know, but no more impressive than any of the other little toxic creatures we've seen before. So moving on. Elish Norn. Hi, Elish. That's weird, isn't it? Because Atraxa, presumably there's no sign of Elish Norn cards named Elish Norn cards in paper, because Elish Norn is Atraxa, isn't it? But this, of course, will be one that they've bust in from an earlier set as a masterpiece, without really caring about the backstory of the game. At the beginning of your turn, your other creatures get +3/+3 for each of their reinforcements. Opposing creatures get -3/-3 for each of their reinforcements at the beginning of your turn. I mean, that's certainly going to kill a very large stack of decaying zombies, isn't it? It's okay. That is an okay ability. +3/+3. I mean, you know, it's comparable. Clearly not as good, but comparable to that dragon that I can't remember the name of. Tanazir Quandrix, who used to turn all your 1/1s into 7/7. And we'd love that. Verhey said that 6 years ago. Oh dear. Yeah. You know, turning your 1/1s into 4/4s is not as good as turning them into 7/7s, but it's still, you know, quite good. But as we know, bingo card time. Cards that stack incredibly well with Thought to Spy Network. You could just be playing the Thought to Spy Network on its own anyway, and it would still be fucking great. So yeah, people will like this. It's not bad. It's not for me. It's probably not for me. You know, I mean, it can't kill a guy's revenge, can it? You know, I need my creature removal to be able to kill a guy's revenge, and this can't do it. So it's okay. It's got vigilance. Yeah, it's okay. It's another Elish Norn. Hello, another Elish Norn. Oh, and this is no, as I was saying, that's weird, isn't it? So is this set telling the story of how Elish Norn became a Traxxer? Is a Traxxer not just Elish Norn and I've got hold of the wrong end of the stick? There's loads of Praetors just hanging around Meriden and Phyrexia with massive wings hanging off their faces. And they all look the same to me. I'm just racist when it comes to white Praetors. That's what it is. But this is presumably a card from the paper version of All Will Be One. I'm just a bit surprised to see Elish Norn here. When you cast a creature card, if it doesn't have the... Right, excuse me just a second. I'm just going to run next door. I'm going to risk it. Oh, no, I don't have it. Yeah, no, they are next door. I'm just going to run into the next door room. Hopefully we won't lose signal while I'm doing this. I'm just going to try getting a little bit of chewing gum. Oh, mind you, I've been on for 2 hours. See if I can construct a bit of chewing gum to go on this bit of my tooth in a short enough amount of time that everyone doesn't get bored of the dead air. Am I still on? Let me scroll the screen up and down. Yeah. I can still hear my stuff coming out the speakers. Oh, it's not just the abscess. I've been having all kinds of teeth trouble over the pandemic when things couldn't get fixed up. And now, of course, I can get to the dentist now, actually. They finally seem to be letting people have appointments at the dentist, but it took a while after the end of the pandemic. Is that going to work? I think that's going to work. Let's try that. When you cast a creature card, if it doesn't have the machinery emblem, I have had bad luck with my teeth, yes. But I mean, I have to take some responsibility for that, the amount of monster that I throw down my throat. No, this isn't working. The gum's not working, isn't it? Even if Matt's not here, I can hear him in the future watching this on YouTube and getting really annoyed at the chewing sounds. So I think we'll keep going for a little bit. We'll call it a day after like 2 hours. And I'll just put up with my tooth for the moment. When you cast a creature card, sorry about that, was a massive interlude, wasn't it? When you cast a creature card, if it doesn't have the machinery emblem, create a copy of that card in your hand. Creature's power and toughness are debuffed to 0/1 and it gains the machinery emblem and full power. Okay, so I'm playing a Harbinger of the Tides. That's the first thing that leaps to mind. Yeah. It comes into play and I get a 0/1. Thank you for popping in, Canada. It's good to see you. It was nice to have a yarn about Legacy earlier. You'll take care. Don't know when I'll be doing part 2, but you'll see me around on Discord anyway. Ta-ta. So I played a Harbinger of the Tides and I get a 0/1 Harbinger of the Tides put into my hand. That sounds like a good deal. Obviously, if the card that I put in doesn't have a comes into play effect, not so good a deal, but maybe there's some more on the card. When you cast a support card that doesn't have the machinery emblem, create a copy of that card in your hand. It gains 4 mana. Beginning of your opponent's turn, increase the cost of spell cards in your opponent. I was fully expecting that bit at the end to be like the negative bit, you know, so have all this free stuff. Oh, and by the way, you take 4 billion damage every turn. But no, it's an extra little plus. Beginning of your opponent's turn, increase the cost of spell cards in your opponent's hand by 5 until end of turn. I mean, it's kind of nothing. But it's also, well, It's next to nothing. That's what it is. It's not particularly impressive, that last sentence, but you're getting double use out of all of your creatures and supports. That's got to be good, hasn't it? Obviously, most creatures don't have come into play effects, and most supports don't have come into play effects, but it sounds like you can really build around this card. This has got to be one to watch, surely. 15, it's not cheap, 15 mana, 4/7 vigilance. But, you know, and the Johnnies won't like it. Because, well, presumably the Johnnies won't like it. They're all about spells, generally. Yeah, this has got to be one to watch. I think this is one to watch. Let's move along. Encroaching Mycosynth. When the support enters the board, all cards you control gain the artifact subtype. All non-spell cards in your graveyard and exile gain the artifact subtype. When a card enters play under control, it gains the artifact subtype. Right. So this card does nothing. I mean, I have to leave this one to the Johnnies. As a spike, I look at it and I think it just there's literally no effect on anything that happens on the board. So unless you can think of specific combos that go with it, it's worthless. It doesn't do anything. No, it does nothing. I forget what was the flavor text? Oh, Null Rod. That's Null Rod, isn't it? Yeah. That's the flavor text of Null Rod. Thanks very much. So the Johnnies might find a combo for this card. And what did I scroll past? That asks you to sack artifacts. Did I? Oh, it was shit. Because it didn't stick in my... Look, just wait for the Johnnies to get this card. If it turns out to be part of the broken combo, then get it. Before then, avoid it like the plague. There you go. That's my prognostication for that card. I hate building decks in Magic Puzzle Quest. It's such a total pain. The deck builder is so clunky and slow. Plus, my phone is very old and slow as well at the moment because I have a broken phone. So I am not the towering force of innovation that maybe I once was. Maybe I even wasn't. It was all net decking when we used to play Legacy, wasn't it? So as far as the innovation goes, I leave it to other players, and they tell me what's good, and then I just take their goodness and put it into my control decks, or more often than not, completely ignore it because nobody really seems to like playing control like I do. When this creature enters the battlefield, oil counter 4, okay. At the beginning of combat, this creature has oil counter 3 or greater, which it does. This creature gains hexproof. I mean, fuck off! Hexproof on a 5/5 does nothing. Trample on a 5/5 is nothing. That's a really complicated way to make a vanilla 11 mana 5/5. Get fucked. Evolving Adaptive. This is another one of those 0/1s. When another creature enters the battlefield, if it has greater power or toughness than this creature gains oil counter 1. This creature gains oil counter 1 for each of its reinforcements. Okay, so we're looking at something, I think it's Adapt. The Simic ability was Adapt, and it's starting to look like Adapt to me. At the beginning of your turn, this creature gets +X until the beginning of your next turn. X is the total oil counter value among cards you control. I mean, that really doesn't seem powerful enough, does it? It doesn't seem like this is going to become a 10/10 anytime soon. I mean, I admit I've not been paying very close attention to oil counter, but that's because all of the oil counter cards we've seen have been absolute shit, haven't they? Including this one. Moving along. Pick one of the first 3 cards in your library if it's a land card. Fetch a card, it gains half its mana. Yeah, we still don't like that. Didn't we used to get cards that you'd play and they would fetch lands and give them all their mana? I can remember getting excited for a couple of sets. I can remember reading out the details of cards that used to fetch lands and give them all their mana. And I remember thinking, hey, that's quite good. And every time I read one of those cards out, I would eventually talk myself out of it and think, hang on, I just want to be playing with another land in my deck. I don't want to be playing with 2 cards, with 2 lands and a card that fetches lands, giving me a ceiling of 2 lands on the board. I just want to be playing with 3 lands. And now I'm only getting half of its mana. Otherwise, proliferate, escalate. Yeah, not good enough if there's no land there. Move all cards, then repeat this effect. Proliferate, escalate. So that's 1 loyalty, 2 loyalty. That's some buffing. Doubtful. I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody will try and cram it into the toxin deck, whatever it is. That's not my idea of the kind of card that wants to go into the toxin deck. Exuberant Fuseling. Oh, that's got kind of drooling Grudian kind of mouthfeel to it, hasn't it? Exuberant Fuseling. I like that. I like the double ooze. When it's Phyrexian ooze, in fact. When this creature enters the battlefield, it gains oil counter 1. Beginning of combat on your turn, this creature gets plus X plus 0. X creature's oil counter value. Right, so it becomes a 1/1. Very exciting. When a creature or artifact, it is a flamethrower elemental. A creature or artifact card you control is destroyed or loses a reinforcement, gets oil counter 1. This creature gets oil counter 1 for each of its reinforcements. Yeah, just too small. Too small. Just a very complicated way to have a creature that's not at all interesting. When a creature with base power 2 or less enters the battlefield, hold on, are you deciding what? Sorry, what am I deciding? Are you deciding which cards are good by which ones don't hurt us? I do have to finish soon, don't I? Well, I said I was going to finish. Let's do one more card after this one because I can never stop myself when I'm in flow. Well, I'm going to do this card. I'm going to do one more card, and then yes, I'd better take a break then because yes, I have been biting my tongue just a little bit. So let's do this. Phyrexian Elf Warrior, 10 mana, 3/3. When a creature with base power 2 or less enters the battlefield, this creature gains oil counter 1. Base power 2 or less enters the battlefield or is reinforced. At the beginning of the combat on your turn, target creature gets plus X plus X. X is this creature's oil counter value. Yeah, I mean, that is your classic textbook. It's good with Thopter Spy Network card, and just play with Thopter Spy Network and leave this at home. The end. So this is the last one for the night. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may drain 8 mana from your hand. If you do, proliferate, escalate, proliferate, escalate. I'm trying to remember all of the things that does. What's the other thing that escalate pumps up the toxin token? Yes, we know that. What's the other thing that escalate does? I've forgotten. And proliferate, you're getting a couple of loyalty off that. I mean, the 8 mana is a thing that stops the spin. You can't even blink this thing, you know. I mean, you can, and you can pay 8 mana every turn. But the 8 mana is the thing that stops this thing being exciting. Even if you were to blink it, and there don't seem to be good ways of blinking things in combat. So I think that's it for this evening. Well, I'll definitely give it a day or two before I do part 2. Just let my tongue have time to settle down. What do we think so far? I mean, all sets are full of shit. The fact that it's full of shit is nothing different, but you know, we might be seeing something with Toxin emerging, and apart from that, not many playable cards apart from that. Nothing's really leapt out at me. I said I was going to get hold of something, didn't I? Oh, that's right. I said I was going to get hold of the Decimator Web. I'm not too excited by it, but I said I'm going to get hold of it, and everything else kind of meh. But that is it for me for this evening. Thanks you all for coming in. I've had loads of people here. I've still got 4 people. We had 6 people in at my height, and we've still got 4 people in now. This is the largest audience I've ever had in my entire life. It's a good job I'm not Hitler or something, you know what I mean? Because the reach I have over the peoples of the world at the moment is ridiculous with an audience of 4 people. Slowbad2323 says, I think Toxic is busted in half. Prove me right. I'm not convinced it's busted in half. I think it might be too powerful for standard. Right, when I say too powerful for standard, what I mean is I think it will be powerful enough that a lot of people will complain about it on the official forums, and it will have to be nerfed as a result. Even if it isn't too good, even if objectively it turns out not to be too good, too many people will think it is too good. Like the old fucking haunted carriage thing, whatever that was. Jesus Christ, I can't even. I've been playing this game so long I can't even remember the names of old cards in this game, let alone the old cards in actual Magic. But yeah, that's what I think. I think Toxin might be good enough to get a bit of a nerf. But that is it from me. And hopefully, provisionally, let's say Friday, hopefully I'll see you then. All right, you all take care now. How do I do the sign off thing? I don't want to go live again. I'm already live. How do I stop it? Dear God, how do I make it go? Help me! Help! What do I know? That button's not doing it. Am I just going to have to like rip the plug socket out? Oh, I bet I tap this, don't I? Stream it. Yes, I can hit this button down here. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.